Yeah, Raven who?
Remember who he is.
Here we go. Well, hello there. Goodbye there. Sayonara. All the rest of it. This is Ab Fab. According to the President of the United States, Ab Fab. Yes, that was my joke. Yeah, I didn't like that, but anyway. And this is Cheshire Matters, that digital pub where we get to talk and sound off about different things. And we have those two famous people, famous in their own backyard, that is. We have the stats man, the man with all the facts, Mr. Mark Hartley. Say hello, sir.
Hello, you fine specimens of human beings. How are we?
Are you expecting them all to call up and say, yeah, we're okay? You're okay, Mark?
I was talking to our lovely listeners, but are you two all right?
Yeah, we're all right.
Yeah,
I haven't even introduced the Gazelle yet. Here we go. Say hello, the Gazelle, the graceful man of politics, Mr. Trevor Nicholls. No relation to those other MPs.
Yes, good evening, everybody, all our listeners across the Northwest. And I must say there, Mr. Landlord, in your introduction, you sounded like that fella with the curtains.
Really?
You sounded very, very monotone right at the beginning of that, your speech, your intro.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's getting that way. I'm not too happy about everything that I'm seeing at the moment. In fact, no, I just don't need one antidepressant. I mean, I need bottles and bottles of the stuff. Because when I'm looking at this stuff, I'm thinking, my God, what is the reason for anybody to actually be in this country under this government, under this parliament? What is the reason? Give me a reason, somebody, please.
Yeah, but what's more depressing is it's never going to change. It's not even going to change under the upcoming parliament.
This is meant to be one of the better countries, apparently. Oh, God.
Well, I don't mean to advertise other people, but I saw a vlog by Bald and Bankrupt, and he was going through Britain today, and he was visiting different areas, and wasn't very good. He went to Clacton-on-Sea.
Hey, you must be psychic, Mr. Landlord. I've just written that down.
Oh, my word, my word. Well, do you know that used to be one of the most sought-after resorts to go to years ago? And
yeah,
now,
he did Clacton, didn't he? Brighton,
that's
Portsmouth, and Weston-super-Mare.
I know.
I've just been watching it this week, yeah.
Just unbelievable. I was just looking at it, and it doesn't really give a good impression.
No.
And I think he did mention, he said, is this what you call leveling up?
Just leveling down, I think.
Leveling down.
Hey, but don't forget, what you've mentioned there, they're down south.
I know.
They're actually down south. Have you seen Blackpool lately? I've been watching another one of these videos on YouTube, and there was a fellow walking around Blackpool. Oh, my God. The back streets of Blackpool are boarded up.
Yep.
The houses are boarded up. It's an absolute cesspit.
I know. This is what I can't get over.
If you go on bank holiday, it's like Baghdad.
I bet you're right. You bet you're right. Okay, well, again. All right, let's see if we can just brighten things up with a few stories from the press. What about this one? There was a ULEZ fine for a driver whose car was on the back of a lorry. So the car is being transported somewhere, and he got a fine, a ULEZ fine for being transported into a particular area.
God's sake.
Looking and thinking, nobody wants it. She paid, it was a Louise Matz, an accountant from Pinner in northwest London, had paid more than £300 in ULEZ charges since the scheme was launched. To ensure she never got fined, she set up an auto-pay account with Transport for London. Right?
Mug.
And in January... Go on.
So the car's not even running. It's not got any emissions coming out of it. And she's got a fine.
She still got fined. In January, she decided enough was enough and sold her ULEZ non-compliant Kia for a compliant Nissan Micra. The driver and the vehicle licensing agency duly notified her that she was no longer the owner of the Kia. Unsure as to whether she had any outstanding ULEZ charges, she kept open her account so that she could be paid from her bank account. Last Tuesday, she received her monthly ULEZ statement, and was shocked to discover she'd incurred a £12.50 charge on February the 5th, 10 days after disposing of her Kia. So,
Oh dear.
So it's obviously on the back of some truck being, delivered somewhere else and blah, 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 blah. And then she started getting charges on it.
Rather than these non-compliant cars, how about we have some non-compliant human beings and everyone just says, nope, not doing it. What are they going to do? Put everyone in jail.
They couldn't do anything about it if they did that.
Nothing. Everybody just say no.
Isn't it so simple?
Oh, yeah. But the people of this country are just so compliant at the moment.
As I've said many a time, when your diesel and your petrol keeps going up, get everybody collectively, and on one day, you don't use Esso garages.
Yep.
On the second day, you don't use Shell garages. And you'll soon see them prices come down, I assure you.
Oh, yeah, they'll feel it.
And you can take it everywhere. You can say, right, for one day, nobody uses the cooperative stores because the prices are too high. And then for one day, you don't use Sainsbury's. And on it goes and on it goes. The people power will bring those prices down.
Indeed, indeed. I once said to a relative who was an executive with Scottish Power, another company I don't like, and I said, what if everybody, and we were in company, it was at one of their events in this area, and I said, what if everybody decided that not to pay their bill? I said, would you take everybody to court? And she said, well, we'd have to. And I said, really? I said, how many customers have you got? And it was like sort of hundreds of thousands. And I went, oh, yeah. I said, so, and if all of them decided that they're not going to pay and you said, take me to court, what would you do? And conversation just ended.
Of course it did.
It just ended straight away. And I just went, well, that answers that question then, doesn't it? Anyway, here's the next one. Curry in crisis. ITV bosses, they can't find a boss for the legendary soap as fans ditch it in their droves.
Oh, well, moving on.
In the droves? Well, hang on a minute. We're not moving on anyway. We'll get this sorted. They're ditching it in the droves. Where have you got that from?
Oh, this is from the Daily Mail.
It's just TV in general, isn't it?
They can't get a... I'll take over. Don't worry about that.
It's because they've been ramming the message in all the programmes. Even people who've watched it for years have told me, I'm sick of this now. I was quite surprised.
All right, yeah.
Anyway, I was about to say that it's 64 years old, that programme.
Well, I can go along with that, yeah. But, yeah, 64 years old, because I started watching it when I was 2. I can go with that.
And I can't believe that its eldest actor on the set, I believe he's gone bankrupt again. William Roach. I don't know the full story
again.
of it.
Yeah, he's been bankrupt before, yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently he owes $250,000. So...
You get a loan off Mike Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're
from the grave. From the grave.
They're bringing him back into the storyline to try and... Because apparently what they do... I remember when... remember Ashley? Remember Ashley from Warrington?
Ashley.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Ashley, Steve Arnold, he was one of the earlier ones to get caught up in the new regime, what they had there, because they decided, with the sign of the times at the time, that they were going to pay the actors, and they only got paid when they were actually in the storyline as such. And that's been the same since. That was about 8 or 9, maybe 10 years ago even.
Yeah, the signs were on, the writing was on the wall then 10 years ago. They were cutting costs.
10 years ago, all they were doing is they had the usual crew, which would be Rita, Ken Barlow. I think, well, it wasn't Deirdre because she'd gone since then, but a lot of the main cast anyway, they were on probably, I think it was 150,000 a year. Ken Barlow was on about 200,000 a year, apparently.
You must be an expert on Coronation Street.
Well, I am actually, yeah, because I've watched it since I was a child, as I say, and I've never. I mean,
and you're only 72 now.
Oh, you're never going to get that time back, mate.
No, I don't want it. I'm fully entertained all my life with Coronation Street. Absolutely adore it.
Get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Moving on.
it's even recording now as we're making the podcast, because I'll just catch up on it a little bit later. That's the
Okay.
beauty of the modern day technology. Absolutely fantastic.
All right, and this is the last one that caught my eye, and you're not going to believe this.
Which eye was it?
That one,
The false one.
the false one. Yeah,
Well, that's all right. Yeah.
you can't believe this. Don't use the word widows. Lloyd's chief tells staff in new inclusive language guidance at Scottish Widows.
Scottish widows, just ridiculous.
I
Isn't
mean,
Where are we going?
at Lloyd's have issued a list of everyday terms for its 57,000 workers to avoid. I know. I know. Well, everybody was just exasperated. I know that was why there was a big gap there. And I'll leave that in, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you can't use the word Scottish widows at Scottish widows anymore.
Well, they also say you can't use the term guinea pig because it might upset vegans because it's associated with experimentation on non-human animals.
Oh, have these people gone totally bonkers?
Yep.
Honestly, people like this used to probably be referred for medical help, and I'm not even joking at this point now. I think this is quite serious.
Well, considering when your own name, the name of the company is Scottish Widows, so what are they going to do? They'll say, somebody rings up and goes, is that Scottish Widows? And they go, yes, it's Scottish.
Oh, no, hang on. You shouldn't be able to say Scottish then either, because what if someone rings up they're not from Scotland? They might get offended.
This is just ridiculous. Imaginary offence.
Oh, it's clown world. Upside down clowns.
Oh, no. It's worse than that. It's worse
You
than
just
that.
think you think we've reached peak clown world, don't we, every week? And then something else comes along and it just blows your mind.
Oh, it's just unbelievable.
Honestly, there's a wave of stupidity.
More than that.
I think we need a vaccine for that, to be honest.
Well, I don't think you can get a vaccine for that. And if they did, it would be a fake one like the last one. Oh, gosh. Did I say something then? Oh,
We need a big lunatic asylum or something then. Never mind building prisons.
Yeah, but they're too full. They're too full and they're awful. How about that?
So what are we... Oh, I'm going to ask the question. What do we say instead? What are we allowed to say?
I don't know.
What of Scottish... what are they called again?
Scottish Widows.
What have the Scottish widows allowed us to say then instead?
They haven't commented.
The partner of a dead person.
No,
It's got to be neutral, gender neutral.
well, I honestly don't know, because if you think about it, what else can you say?
You can't say the wife of, so it'd have to be the partner of somebody who's deceased.
Well, it's the same as me. I'm a widower. So what are they going to do about that?
I honestly don't know.
I mean, that's
You
going to...
can't say widow, but you're just an heir.
Yeah, say you finally get through and it's press 1, press 3, press 2, press 1, press 1, press 3, press 2, press 2.
The line goes dead. Ring
Hello?
back.
Hello, this is Scottish.
I'm offended.
That's it.
I'm English.
Oh, sorry.
honestly, you could
I
just
wanted
roll
Scottish widows. And they hang up. And they've been on the line for 25 minutes.
Oh, it's just madness. All right,
Pressing
let's move on to
one.
something even more depressing. And this one's going to be led by Stats. But
Oh, thanks.
Stats, what have these 5 groups of people got in common? You ready?
There's
Hold
probably
on.
not much of it. Go on.
The British National Socialist Movement, Patriotic Alternative, Cage, Muslim Engagement and Development, and the Muslim Association of Britain. What have they all got in common, sir?
Nothing that I can see, to be honest.
Well, not with themselves. They've been named as groups by Michael Gove that will not gain access to Parliament or parliamentarians.
Pretty sure they probably don't as it is.
I was pretty sure of it, but
Considering they put some of Patriotic Alternative in jail. Not too sure they're working with them.
well, no.
They've not dealt with the Muslim Council of Britain in 10 years, so they're not dealing with them.
I can't work out because new legislation regarding the definition of extremism came in last Thursday. And I'm telling you now, I'm still finding it extremely difficult to actually nail the points. So see if you can help us out here, Stats. Go ahead.
I'll try my best. So I've looked at, I don't actually think that many people have actually looked at the guidance. They're all still stuck arguing on the definition. So we'll look at the guidance. Newsflash, the geniuses have worked out, and I quote them, extremism can lead to the radicalisation of individuals, deny people their full rights and opportunities, suppress freedom of expression, incite hatred, erode our democratic institutions, social capital and cohesion, and can lead to acts of terrorism. Well done, geniuses. And the government also claim they're committed to challenging extremist ideology that leads to violence and wider problems in society, such as the erosion of free speech. So I'm just wondering how committed as the rest of them who've done nothing for decades. Then we're going to move on to the vague definition, which leaves more questions. Actually, we'll skip that. I think everyone's probably heard that already, haven't they?
Well, we'll just say straight off that extremism is the promotion or advancement of an ideology based on violence, hatred, or intolerance. Now, that reminds me of marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage is a form of extremism. Anyway, a bit of lightheartedness there, sirs, to interject.
Go on, well, I'll carry on. So the first one was negate or destroy the fundamental rights and freedoms of others, or undermine, overturn, or replace the UK's system of liberal parliamentary democracy or democratic rights, or intentionally create a permissive environment for others to achieve the results in one or two. Okay, so now we've got that vague definition. They've literally been distracted on this for weeks, which might be a good thing, because when you actually look at the guidance, it appears to concentrate on the Islamic aspect.
That's what it implies to me.
Yeah, just without saying it. But you read between the lines. So I've picked out 3 or 4 of them because we'd be here all day. So one of them advocating that the UK's parliamentary democracy and democratic values and rights are not compatible with their ideology.
It fits in exactly with Islam and its insistence on pushing Sharia law.
Yeah, so it says, into seeking to challenge, overthrow or change our political system outside of lawful means. I'll take that as meaning jihad, for example. Then we have, this is the interesting one, subverting the way political or state institutions exercise their powers in order to further ideological goals, for example, through entryism. This means entryism through peaceful means. So, like, for instance, using our democracy against us, which was actually the plan of the Muslim Brotherhood all along.
Yeah.
So use it to beat it and then replace it. Muhammad did similar when he befriended Jews and Christians in the minority, then majority, he turned on them. There's another little bit which covers the politicians, obviously. It's threatening and inciting violence, etc., to politicians, police force, members of local or devolved or national legislators, etc.
Well, if there wasn't any threat of violence, why have they spent 32 million ensuring the safety of MPs and Parliament?
Exactly. And this is the next interesting one I like. Establishing parallel governance structures which, whether or not they have formal legal underpinning, that's the important bit, seek to supersede the lawful powers of existing institutions of state. So I read between the lines, and that tells me Sharia courts. Yep. The very Sharia courts about 10 years ago, a parliamentary committee deemed as derogatory towards women and dangerous, and they just did nothing about it.
Yep.
They're the few things I picked up, which really do, if you read between the lines, tell you who and what this is for. And there's some vague bits which I'm not so happy about. You've got consistent association or not distancing themselves from or failing to provide critical challenge to the ideology or behaviour of extremists. So that bit just about sums up everybody in politics for the last 20 years. So they're all classed in this now.
Well, I even commented to you that I thought that the Met Police were being enablers of extremism in one way or another by showing and demonstrating 2-tiered policing in London. Because there was a video of a man calling for jihad. And I've not heard of the police doing anything at all. It was on Twitter. And he was calling for jihad. And nothing's happened. Now, calling for jihad, that is calling for violence.
John, they're never going to implement any of this. And it's pretty pointless, this anyway. I saw a video the other week and they're all wearing masks and the scarf of, I don't know, Palestine, whatever you want to call it. And they're screaming at police officers. And the drippy police officer did nothing. But the problem we've got with this this silly guidance is, even in this guidance to define the word extremism, they use words then they've got to then define again. I'll give you one example before we let the Gazelle in, because I've gone on for a bit now. It says, for example, intolerance. In the context of the definition is closely linked with violence and hatred. It's not normally, is it? And it is to be applied to mean an actively repressive approach rather than simply a strong opposition or dislike. So they're using words in there that people can really, really twist. And they're going to say, no, it doesn't mean that.
Yep, I get it.
Don't use the word then.
Well, you're back to from the river to the sea, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because people are saying, well, it doesn't really mean that. We all know what the intention of the words are, whenever you can twist it or whatever you want to do. And what you've just said there, Stats, several times, is that, well, reading between the lines.
Yeah.
But this is supposed to be a comprehensive clarification.
They're too scared, Trev. They're too scared.
Too scared.
Yeah, but the point is, how can we be reading between the lines when this is supposed to be a comprehensive classification of
of a word.
Of a word. Well, they say... sorry to interrupt you there.
Yeah, go on. I mean,
sorry to interrupt you there. They're not intending to interfere with the lawful exercise of a person's rights, including freedom of thought, conscience and religion, freedom of expression, freedom of association, or the right to engage in lawful debate, protest or campaign. And they are saying that the definition is intended to reflect an ordinary common sense meaning of the word extremism, whilst enabling a more precise and workable use of the term in real life cases. But it doesn't appear to me to have achieved that.
No.
Would you say so, Gazelle?
No, it's not. And as I was saying earlier on in our pre-talk, that this has been going on since the 1970s. When Mark was mentioning jihadi, you know, in the 70s we had jihadi wadi. I mean, they were quite a big group. No, nothing ever happened with them.
No, they faded, eh?
Going back to where we are now, though, I mean, I was only reading the intro earlier on to make some notes. And I only read the intro, and it was getting me back up. In the first few lines, it said the first duty of government is to keep our citizens safe and our country secure.
Yeah.
Failed.
Well, yeah, well, the failing good style on that.
Yeah,
on
hence
that
this,
one,
Trev.
eh?
Hence all this.
Isn't it? On that one alone, we're flooded daily with immigrants, and we've got no knowledge of where they're coming from. I mean, the country, it's a laughing stock. And that document, I was looking at it, and it's just
immigrants whose lifestyles are not compatible with ours in this country.
No, exactly, yeah. And, well, we don't even know what they're compatible with because we don't know who they are, do we? I mean, and I've never seen a bigger, massive weasel words in my life. I mean, together in one document. I mean, the new definition draws on the important work, and I've got to clarify this. The new definition draws on the important work of Dame Sarah Khan and Sir Mark Rowley.
Well, he's one guy I wouldn't ask an opinion of.
Well, and you've got a Dame and a Sir, and they're both from the realm, right? And they're totally disconnected from our reality. I'm on about our reality.
You mean the realm they take an oath to defend and they don't? That one?
That's the one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I mean, the same Sir Mark Rowley, who conducts two-tier policing, as Jonathan mentioned earlier on. He stands there as they've got face coverings that are banned. The face coverings are banned. And his policemen stand there and allow it. You've got chants. You've got the flags. The flags that are flown. And then arrests. The only arrests are made are innocent people because they call it out. The fellow with the Islam is not Islam.
No, Hamas is a terrorist organization. Yeah,
Hamas
I know
is
exactly.
A terrorist. That's a factual statement. And he was arrested.
He was arrested and then de-arrested.
Well, and then de-arrested, yeah.
But that's what I would call false arrest.
Well, surely he's got a claim for that.
Of course he has.
Because he was arrested, then de-arrested, because they realised that they shouldn't have arrested him. So as you termed it, false arrest. I've got no respect whatsoever for that man.
No, none.
I've got none at all. None.
I suspect that his time is short. Go ahead,
Well,
Mike.
I don't know. I really don't know.
No, I suspect his time is short. He'll be disappearing.
Well, who did we get in? We got rid of Dick, didn't we? We got rid of Dick and put him in. Who's a bigger dick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically.
What we don't need is dick. We need balls.
Yeah, actually, you're quite right. Yeah.
Sorry to be rude, but
Well, yeah, go ahead, Stats.
Again, you're being factual. Yep. We do need a set of balls instead of loads of dicks.
Okay, Stats, we give way to you.
Cheers. Now, look, after reading this, these idiots have only just worked all this out, or they've known it a long time and not dealt with it.
Yeah.
Now, after listening to ex-Islamic extremists, turn good and counter-terrorism experts, and using my own eyes and ears, it's defo the latter. These experts have said they've known this for a long time. It's been pretty obvious because we've all known it. So this doesn't fill me with confidence it's going to be sorted anytime soon, because things they haven't dealt with, Trevor mentioned some of them, and I'm going to mention some more. So they haven't investigated people like Ben Jamal, who after the scenes outside Parliament called for more intimidation of politicians, or any of the people that tried to enter Parliament that night. They hushed that up. What about George Galloway, who was associates with literal jihadis, Hamas, who are now banned, and singing from the river to sea at his campaign launch? What have they done to combat the groups which have been banned but still operate under different names or no names? Nothing. What about the Hamas chief living in London who masterminded plots? Nothing. 30,000 jihadis on the loose? Nah, don't worry about that. Belmarsh, full of extremists who are slowly being released. Nothing about that. 20 years of jihad, not interested. Schools intimidated, the teachers hiding. They're not bothered. So they speak of this entryism, but it's going on now with groups across the country wanting to take seats for other reasons and putting England first. So my question to the government would be, how are they going to prove that these groups are actually going to replace our constitutional monarchy? Never heard them mention that in there. If they get the chance, because my bet is they will. And then I'm going to finish off. So what about Labour and the Speaker, who purposely took a massive dump on our non-written constitution and allowed Parliament to be intimidated? As I've said on a previous podcast, that's literally treason.
Yeah.
They all ignore their oaths to the written constitution, which should protect our rights. There's no need for any of this stuff. Now, it's all good and well drafting this guidance to stop this funding and reporting people to prevent, etc., which talks a good game. We've got laws to prevent most of this stuff, including treason laws, which I've mentioned previously. But they do absolutely nothing now. And it's all eyes on whatever distraction it is again this week. This fake cons leadership.
Which they work out with the lamestream press.
Yeah, and everyone getting on Kate Middleton's case. Leave her alone, right, and sort the absolute mess out you've all created, you absolute cowards, before the people get sick and tired and take things into their own hands and save this country themselves.
With the help of the army, hopefully, because they're the only ones that could actually do it.
There's only so long people are going to put up with this.
Oh, no, I totally agree.
Said these weasel words. So we've just gone on there for about half an hour about their definition and round in circles. Yeah, we both just pointed out that they're not even dealing with half this problem at all.
No, I get it.
And what's going to happen? Nothing.
Nothing.
Like it never does.
Oh, they'll get challenged legally in the court because obviously, the solicitors and the barristers need all the money they can get. But there you go.
What needs to happen is we need to rid ourselves of these people from politics and put people in the positions who are going to actually
do something. Yeah. Well, we're going to move on and we're going to go to the local. And Trevor looked like he was actually throwing a dart.
I was actually. I was just throwing up my little piece of paper and I was throwing it into my paper bag bin.
180.
Hey. Which is going very well in Warrington at the moment.
Okay, really?
Right, Luke the Nuke.
Luke the Nuke. Okay. Right, okay, the local. All right, and this is going to be, I think, with the Gazelle, who is shaking his head. Emergency fund needed as Warrington slips into depravity.
Yeah, well, that's been thrown at me for quite a few years now about me being deprived. So we'll leave that at that. But,
just to open it up, there's an emergency fund which is going to be set up following the deprivation crisis in Warrington. I mean, where did all the money come from? And yet you've got deprivation in Warrington?
Well, I don't know. I can't speak. It's just another episode. Here we go again of Coronation Street.
And they can't even get a guy to look after the whole of the show.
I was thinking that. I mean, don't worry, because I'll apply for that once we finish tonight. I will be getting my CV off
You're going to be a
ITV.
busy boy, aren't you, mate? Doing, vice president and Coronation Street. And
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be very, very busy.
Oh, you'll get rushed off your feet, mate.
Yeah, because, you know,
Job you're a Gazelle, innit?
according to President Trump, he wants you as VP.
I'm his VP. I'm the nominating officer now for Reform UK.
Oh,
VP.
sign that form. Sign that form. You should get a stamp of your signature.
Yeah, I'm going to be director of Coronation Street and one of the writers. So I've got a very, very busy year ahead of me.
Actually, you won't be director. You will be producer.
Oh, producer. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's okay. I can multitask, as you know. Yes, and we got Coronation Street again. There's a really frightening statistic that came out, which I'll clear up in a minute. I just don't hold any.
Is that like your rash? Is that cleared up as well?
Yeah, no, not yet.
You've been to Clapham. Get out of there.
No, I've still got half a tube cream on that, so it's looking good at the minute anyway. So we've got this, don't forget, this frightening statistic has come from the Warrington Guardian. Now, the Warrington Guardian reported, and I don't know whether anybody noticed or not, but there was an absolute misprint right on the front of the Guardian. A misprint.
Go on.
That it said Warrington, I can't remember what it was now, but it was something pointed out by one of the listeners. So they can't even proofread what they're actually
Putting out.
reported. Terrible. You'll see it in the headline anyway.
I know. I did that. I did that 35 years ago. I said, I do. And I forgot to write the little N apostrophe T. I don't.
I don't.
I'll tell you what it was. It said, something's just popped up over the top of it, get lost. Do you know what? I hate this local media. You can't read anything.
Oh, it's just clickbait for
It's
everything.
Clickbait City. It said, help is at hand after Warrington has been named on the most deprived areas in the country. I spotted that straight away and thought, Jessica.
Not according to Bald and Bankrupt. It's Clapton on Sea.
Well, someone called Jessica Barnes wrote it, so I think maybe she needs to learn to type or spell or one of the two.
Well, it must be bad. She must be from Clapton on Sea. Clacton.
On it said.
Don't you have an editor as well who's meant to check all this? Like,
Yeah, so you've got two forms of proofreading there. You've got the reporter themselves, who are supposed to be highly educated, and then you've got the editor who oversees it, who obviously missed it as well.
Spell check.
And in a pro organisation, they'd have a sub-editor.
Yeah, well, you've just mentioned Warrington Guardian, so that won't be the case.
You change it, though, when you noticed. It's still like that now. Sorry, Trev, anyway, go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's 1 in 2 houses within the towns are deprived. Now, that's actually a figure over 100,000 people that are deprived.
But we thought that Warrington was successful.
Well, that's actually in the report. Because only 2 months ago, the Warrington Guardian reported that Warrington was one of the best places and most sought to live in. So you can't have one report that we're the most sought to live in, the best place, and then
a diametrically opposite observation.
I mean, this is the Warrington Guardian. I'm sorry, but I'm not a friend of the Warrington Guardian, and they really need to get something.
We couldn't tell that, Trevor.
Yeah,
and to use the colloquialism, you are slagging the local press off. There's no two ways about it.
That's just it's a Labour paper. The Labour Party in Warrington,
they can be affiliated to a political party if they want to.
Of course they can, yeah. But I mean, the one thing,
and we can be affiliated to Common Sense, but
£700,000 a year within the Warrington Guardian. So they're bound to be a little bit. They're probably going to lean that way, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now, it revealed that a new fund has been launched to help pump thousands of pounds into Warrington's charities. Now, charities are a pet hate of mine. I mean, first of all, why do we need charities? I mean, it's a first of its type of fund to address issues such as poverty, mental health, and hidden homelessness. What's hidden homelessness? Can somebody explain that to me? Hidden homelessness.
Those are homes where people can't get into them, and you cannot see the people either because they're not registered.
I didn't quite get that.
Right. There are homes which are available, but there are people that are not registered and cannot get into them. That's the definition of hidden homelessness.
All right, because I didn't quite understand that.
Not very good at defining things these days, are they?
No, they're not actually. No, I mean...
Well, that's what it was when I was a councillor many, many years ago. So if they're not registered, even if they've got homes, they can't get in them. So they
You
were
might have
called
changed them. They might have changed since then because we've now got sliced bread. And we've moved on from wooden wheels.
and the cobbled streets.
So this
and
is
the bikes with
time.
the seats that if you went down those cobbled roads, you come out with a high voice. You go in with a low voice. Right, missus, what you want? And then by the time you got down to the bottom of the street, right, okay.
I think I'll have, yeah. So these charities are covering poverty, mental health, and hidden homelessness, and another subject which I can't quite recall at the moment. Now, I thought the NHS had something to do with that.
Nope.
Anyway, so ahead of the launch, Melanie Sproston, the CEO of Cheshire Community Foundation. Oh, and I thought I'd just check that out, actually, because that's the first thing I do when I get introduced to a new charity. I actually find out what the CEO is on. I do that on every single charity. You've got WaterAid on TV. WaterAid, give us £2 a month, where we can guarantee to give a village water for the next 1 month. Right? First of all, questions.
That's great. Can we do that with United Utilities?
Yeah, how the hell can they do that when I'm?
Yeah, we want the whole of Ellesmere Port supplied, right, for £2 a month. Is that okay?
Yeah, but this WaterAid, it's been going on since the 70s. It's been going on for 40 plus years, and they've still not sorted it.
It's a leak somewhere.
It's leaking somewhere. It's like utilities. So what's
Very
the
good,
CEO
Mark. Very good.
Well, he's on about 190 grand a year, the CEO of that charity.
Oh, that was my question.
Yeah, so he's not really going to want to get rid of that, is he? Anyway, ahead of the launch, Melanie Sproston, CEO of Cheshire Community, which I just happened to check to see what salary she was on.
The head of the lodge.
The head of the, what did I say then?
You said the head of the lodge. What lodge?
I do apologise. That was a Freudian slip. The head of the CEO of the Cheshire Community Foundation.
Oh, yeah.
Her job was announced in October 2023, and it was circa of 70,000 a year.
Whoa.
That's what she was offered. Now, and it said, depending on your experience and your qualifications, so you can take that anywhere you want. And that was in October 2023, so no doubt she's on about 100 grand, I would suggest. And just as a footnote as well, she said, we have recognised that more needs to be done. No shit, Sherlock.
Guys, it's just incredible.
You know, and they're looking at raising $500,000 in the next 5 years. I mean...
Whoa, hang on. Well, just 1 second. You're only going to have 240,000 of that left.
That's right, because you've got to pay her.
One fella 190 and another 170. That's 260. Have I done my maths correct? And then minus that from yes. So they're spending more on wages than anyone's getting in the charity. Is that right?
In 5 years. Yeah, in 5 years.
In 5 years? Well, that's a fortune, isn't it? Over 5 years.
Well, it's over 5 years. That's not over a year. That's over the next 5 years. We're looking at raising $500,000.
Oh, this is just incredible.
You know, I was going to ask about what the wages were and then take that off. But you said 1 in 2 households. So either Labour have done the opposite of what they're saying and fighting a poverty emergency, or the bar for poverty is like really risen. Like, is everyone? Was it just if you've got no iPhone now, or? Honestly, though, because it want to eliminate poverty, and I'm sorry, but capitalism is the best thing at doing that, and it keeps making more and more people richer, but everyone seems to be still getting poorer.
The figure on this that I just had a quick glance at, because quite honestly, I can't read these reports anymore because I don't recognise them, right? And it said the food banks in Warrington have increased by 280% per annum.
The usage of them, yeah?
The usage of them, which is where they're getting these figures from. And that's telling me, 1 in 2, that's 100,000 people using food banks.
Nah, I can't see that, mate.
Well, I'm afraid I can't see it, but this is what the report says. They're just reports, aren't they, to make sure she still gets her £70,000 a year and somebody else gets their £90,000 a year.
I just
while
call
the rest of us just whistle and just fall into the ground. And as you said earlier on, Jonathan, with that reporter he's lived out of the country for a few years, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he came back and he decided to look at certain areas where he is to go. And the country is an absolute cesspit.
He found that there were places in the East and Eastern Europe, and especially places under Putin, that are actually in better condition. in better condition and better kept. You can't believe that. Can we give way to the stats, man? Go on, stats.
Yeah, of course we can.
Do you know what I just find absurd is when they're trying to scrape around for an extra million to help people. You've just got unlimited amounts of money for virtue signalling tasks and projects. So, for instance, Warrington have just got 105 new electric buses. Sorry, but this has been bugging me now. So I looked into what other councils have paid, and other councils have paid just for half the amount of buses, 20 to 25 million pounds.
Yeah.
So if Warrington have got 105, then that could possibly be up around the 50 million figure. They only got 21.5 grant from the government. So where's this other 30 million coming from? Has it just come out of thin air?
Yeah.
Because I think now, right, I think the left have got it all wrong. It's not about taxing the rich. I'd say proper distribution of finances to where they're badly needed is needed now.
Yeah.
You've got to stop wasting money on all these vanity projects. What? Oh, so we can look good, we're saving the environment. Do you know, that's...
And the council are only going for 500,000.
Well, I don't know.
For the fund.
It's the council, but the charities want...
The charity's only going for 500,000.
Yeah, the council could just pull out 30 million for some Alecki buses, which we know are going to work perfectly, tip-top, fine, no problems.
You know, they've actually...
distributing the money properly here now, because this is just getting ridiculous.
What they've offered on them, Mark, is that anybody under the age of 22 can travel anywhere for £1.
In Warrington?
In Warrington and neighbouring boroughs where these buses go.
That won't be forever. That'll be like for the first couple of weeks. You like when they build these bridges and you drive across them for a few weeks, and then before you know it, bump, you're paying.
Yeah.
And then you'll go across the other bridge. Oh, bump, you've got to pay for that one now too. You're trapped.
Yeah, I've not seen the actual length of it, but it is for a period.
Or they wind up.
Hold on a minute.
Or they wind up. Sorry to interrupt, Trevor. They wind up hiving it off to somebody for less than they actually paid out for it, and they take it over, so they get it cheap. For example, if you look at Morrison's, they're hiving out part of the supermarket, so the bakeries are no longer owned by Morrison's. Yeah. The petrol stations are no longer owned by Morrison's, but they're badged Morrison's. It's things like that, and that's what you get when you get a takeover of certain amounts of money, where they've had to borrow heavily to actually take over the supermarket, and they can't make ends meet with what's going on. So the next minute, they're actually hiving out part of the assets. Go ahead, Mark. And then, sorry to interrupt Trevor again, but Mark, go on.
What it is you can't keep track of where all this money goes, because I've literally spent now about a week trying to find out how much these buses cost. I've emailed Volvo, they've totally ignored me. I mean, you could put in freedom of information request to the council, and you know what will happen, so it's pointless, and it'll take months anyway. I don't want us to talk about it now. So where's this money coming from? How much is being spent? You never know. Yeah, they're all, we need to save 500,000. I'm pretty sure you could do that very easily. Stop wasting money.
Yeah,
they got a grant of 21 million. That was for the bus fleet, and it was I think it's 53 million in total.
Yeah, that's what the councils were paid for. They paid 20-odd million for half the buses, so I've worked it out about 50-odd million. Yeah, 52 million.
Yeah, it was 53 million at the figure originally. I can't remember, but off the top of my head, it was.
And that's for 100 buses.
Any idea where the other 30 comes from?
No. I did say it at the time, but they're actually borrowing the money again.
Yeah, they borrowed it. There's no two ways about it.
They'll borrow it, which just goes on. I mean, it'll come out of that 20 million that they make every year that's paid for everything else. It's that 20 million net figure that they get on all the investments of 1.8 billion. They get 20 million a year. They've spent that about 75 times over. It's like when Keir Starmer said, oh, well, what we're going to do is we're going to spend 28 billion on green energy and all this lot. I put up a post tonight, and I brought this up on the podcast, I remember, because I was talking to a fella about definitely 12, 18 months ago. And he said, do you realise the amount of concrete that is needed for just one of those windmills? It's 600,000 square feet of concrete for one. And that doesn't, and that isn't, that stays there forever.
I should probably work out the carbon footprint of all these things, shouldn't we? Do you know what? If these investments, Trev, were thriving, then go ahead, get your buses. But if they're not, then feed the
people.
poor.
Feed the people.
Yeah, honestly, these socialists, mate, they did the puddle in the brain. They
Well, what
claim
about-
one thing and they do the total opposite? They're absolutely bonkers. I'm sorry, but they are.
We've got more solar farms and wind farms. Warrington, with all this investment, 1.8 billion. We've definitely got 4 solar farms that I know of.
Where are they all, though, Trev? Because they say they're going to power these buses with
Derby.
with that renewable energy.
Yeah, they're all over the country. One's Doncaster, one's Derby.
Brilliant. When it doesn't, there's no wind in
One's
Derby.
in Sussex. One's in Sussex. And where's the other one? The other one's even further down south. So we've got 4. That's 4 that was just off the top of my head.
If they used their head, Trev, they'd have them in Warrington. They could power these buses. Oh, do you know what? Your councillor frustrating, aren't they?
I'm calling it there. I'm calling it. Because we could go on all night about it. All right. Shout out, shout downs. Obviously, you're going to shout down Warrington Borough Council.
No, I'll give up. I don't bother anymore. I just can't. Honestly.
Well, you're too busy a man. I mean, you got all those jobs that you're going to be doing.
I've got, I have. In fact, I've got more jobs than Indeed, the recruitment company. I should actually take on about quite a few.
Go ahead. What have you got? Any shout outs, shout downs? Go on.
Just a couple of quotes again. I mean, earlier on, I shouted, "It's a boy." I shouted with tears rolling down my face. I don't believe it. It's a boy. And that was a moment when I chose to never go back to visit Thailand. And I've just had a fella knock on my door this morning from a TV licence. He's a TV licence man. And he said, "Have you got a TV?" I said, "No." He said, "You must have. You've got an aerial on your roof." I said, "I've got a bottle of milk in the fridge, but I've not got a cow."
Very good. Marco.
Doing my head in.
Marco, go on.
We'll follow on from that. Probably won't be as good. So anyway, what's the worst combination of illnesses?
Give in.
Alzheimer's and diarrhea. You're running, but you can't remember where. This is a dad joke. So a man walks into a forest and tries to cut down a talking tree. "You can't cut me down," the tree says. "I'm a talking tree." The man responds, "You may be a talking tree, but you will dialogue."
Actually, that is
Yeah, no, dear.
that is definitely that's a dad joke. That one, dad joke. Well, I'm just going to say, thank God that's all over. And if I was going to give a shout down, it's got to be to Michael Gove and that weak
I thought you would.
definition of extremism. That's just bad. It is bad.
John, it's a meaningless word. Salad will do nothing about it.
And
we'll be here again in 10 or 15 years, slagging off the next lot for doing nothing.
Indeed.
Will we be here in, I don't know, we might be gone by then.
We might be gone. We might have been banged away somewhere. With Bubba.
Where are they?
With Big Bubba.
Vague different definitions, yeah.
Anyway, okay, well, there it is. I'm going to call it there, and we're going to say, well, that's another podcast. Gone. I don't know how many people are going to be wanting to listen to this distressing state of affairs within this country, but it's been a wonderful experience speaking with you, Stats. Say goodnight or goodbye or good day
to all our lovely listeners, and of course you fine gentlemen. See you all next week.
I think he was referring to you, Trevor, because I'm not a gentleman.
I've actually stopped listening to the podcast because I don't know what's in them and I get depressed. So,
very good.
I just want to say good night to everybody, all our listeners, and most of all, I'm surprised that we've not had any more emails. In fact, we've not had any emails about where the Raven is. I was going to say any more emails, but we've not had any, so...
They don't care.
They don't care, so much for the pin-up.
All right, okay, well, that's it. It's goodbye.
Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road.
Cheerio.